Welcome to On the Beat. Today I'm joined by Dr. Andy Barlow, who served in the U.S. Navy from 1982 to 1986 with an honorable discharge. He is a graduate of the prestigious Carrick Institute of Functional Neurology, author of 3 #1 best-selling books, and national and international speaker, as well as TEDx speaker on the topic of metabolic syndrome. Dr. Andy Barlow, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So you were just doing TEDx talk about metabolic syndrome in New Albany, Ohio. And one of those risk factors, you talk about 5, is hypertension.
Exactly.
What is hypertension?
Okay, so hypertension, if we define that, would be your blood pressure being 130 over 85 millimeters of mercury or higher. Now, the staggering statistics with that is that 48% of Americans suffer from hypertension, and most people aren't even aware of it.
I was just going to say, I probably wouldn't even know if I did.
Yeah, and that's why you have to get these blood pressure checks. I wouldn't say often, but you do need to have it checked whenever you go to the doctor. It used to be, I don't know if it still is, pretty accessible. Even when you go to Walmart, you can get your blood pressure checked. But anyway, 130 over 85, it needs to be below that number, and if it's above it, hypertension is going to be the cause of that.
And if that's the case, what can that cost?
Okay, good question. A myriad of health problems, but some things that are completely overlooked would be things like dementia. And were you aware of that?
No,
okay, so,
not at all.
So what happens is when you have hypertension, most people think of cardiovascular disease, which is part of that. But when you have hypertension, we actually scar the inner lining of our blood vessels, and they can't actually dilate like they should. So that dilation, you need that in your brain. There's actually 3 arteries in the brain that control optimal function. So when those arteries can't dilate and they constrict, we restrict blood flow going to the brain, which over time can lead to brain fog like focus, attention, concentration, even memory lapses. Now, another thing, going to completely the other end of the spectrum would be our feet. So when you have hypertension, it can also scar the arteries in your feet, and it can lead to loss of blood flow. Your foot can turn purple or blue, and it can also lead to numbness and tingling, pins and needles and burning in your feet, all because of hypertension.
My goodness. So what are the steps to make sure we don't have hypertension?
Okay. Well, the main problem with hypertension is it's a self-inflicted wound, and that's the things people don't want to hear, and that is our diet and lifestyle. Like, for example, fast food, processed food, sugary drinks like sweet tea and sodas, also unhealthy diets would be one of them. And one of the best ways to actually prevent this as well is moving our body, the sedentary lifestyle. We do need to kind of at least walk 30 minutes a day, and we need to eat a healthy diet. One of the best ways to start is to eat 5 to 7 salads per week, and instead of putting Thousand Island or things like ranch dressing on it, we can actually use olive oil and vinaigrette, which is extremely powerful. There's also a diet called the Mediterranean diet, excuse me, and the DASH diet. And instead of actually grabbing like a sugary bar or power bar, I recommend our patients consume healthy nuts like almonds, pistachios, pecans, and walnuts to maintain optimal fat. Fat is good for you. Unhealthy fat is bad for you.
So small changes can make a huge difference. And if people are looking for other pieces of information, how do they get information from you?
That's a great question. The easiest way to do this is go to DrAndyBarlowDC.com. That would be DrAndyBarlowDC.com. They could pick up my 3 books, see my TEDx talk, and if they have questions, they can actually call our clinic to set an appointment.
Perfect. Like I said, one-stop shop.
That's
Just
it.
go to the website.
Yep.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here today. And that's today's On the Beat.